Hello, beautiful souls. I am Awakened Soul, and today we're going to be looking at market structure within BTC. It is important for you to understand that the charts work in a repeating cycle that repeats. They work in contraction phases, trend, contraction phases, trend, contraction phases, trend, contraction phases, right? Trend, contraction phases. Now you have a trend up, we have a contraction phase, right? And within this huge contraction phases, right? Let me just fill in all the little contraction phases that right off the bat I see. And how can you find it? It's just like sideways, boring movement, consolidation areas. So we have our contraction phases there. And within this contraction phase, right, we have two. Right, so this whole area, if you go into like the weekly, you could see that this is like a contraction phase itself, and then it broke to the downside, and we have a contraction phase down here. So it's important to understand market structure when you trade, because if we have major, right here, this was major support at one point, we broke down, we're finding that resistance at this major support, right? So if we don't break the support, the most likely scenario is that we roll to the downside. A great app to use, not an app, a great indicator, we could have the order block indicator. Order blocks will show us where there's orders being placed, where the liquidity grab is. In our daily, right, we have a lot of liquidity down here. In our 4 hours, right? And that's an assessment that you need to make, a judgment that you have to make. Just looking at market structure like we just did, look at the liquidity down here. So just looking at it, you know, we had, like I mentioned, a huge contraction phase here, and now we have a huge contraction phase down here, right? We have major support resistance trend line right here where we're finding that resistance. So again, if we don't cross over here, we could definitely just rotate to the downside and come back for this liquidity. This is a liquidity game, and it's gonna go where the most of the liquidity is. So just viewing this and looking at this, I mean, if you go to the daily and you look at your RSI, right, or even is it weekly? Maybe daily, right? It's a little oversold, right? But we do have that divergence, and that's something to be aware of with this, right? Prices going up as RSI is coming down. That's causing some divergence there, and it is extended to the upside. It's just, you know, how the charts work. Using highs and lows, you could also be conscious of the fact that, okay, we've printed a higher high. Guess what? We're gonna get a higher low minimum. It's just the way the charts move. So for you to expect that this movement is just gonna keep going up, it's a little ridiculous because the charts don't even move that way, right? You're gonna have a small pullback, and then okay, we could continue to the upside, or like I said, we could come back and then continue to the downside, right? But that's how the market moves, and that's how it's going to move. Contraction phase by contraction phase. So right now, just focusing on this contraction phase and the structure of the market, right? We could definitely put a box here, right? Because we had a huge contraction phase here. We had a nice fake out to the downside and then a trend to the upside. So we have a nice contraction phase at this point. Within every contraction phase, like I mentioned, you're going to have a pattern. So let's find a pattern within our contraction phase, because this will give us the next move. So let's just focus in on our 4 hour, right? Let me box it in so I can know what I'm playing with. So remember, somewhere here is our major resistance support trend line that we had from previous history. I'm just gonna erase it for now because it bothers me when I'm doing my cute little drawings. So we're just gonna focus on this contraction area. We're gonna go into the 4 hour, turn on our higher high, lower lows. Let's play around with it. Let's do a 6. Let's go ahead and do a 3. Right, and just connect some trend lines. What do you see? What are the trend lines telling you? Within every contraction phase, like I said, it's gonna give you a pattern. It's gonna give you a potential next move, right? So here I was actually viewing, we could stay in the 4 hour. So just looking at this pattern, right, and connecting some highs to some lows and some lows to some highs. I mean, check that out. What do you think it looks without me telling you first? I'm gonna give you a second. Just off the bat, this looked like a diamond to me. What do you think? Could be, right? Could be a nice diamond. And if this is the case, if a diamond is played within here, this diamond is a bearish diamond, and it'll break to the downside. Okay, and you could Google it if you don't know how. Just Google Forex pattern diamonds. So this is a pattern to be considered. The best thing to do when you're at this stage is understand that a big next move is happening, because this is the contraction phase. Okay, so this is where they're setting up their orders for the next move. So it could also be, other than the diamond, I also see that megaphone. Right, it could be this megaphone here. Okay, and a little secret that I have for you is usually patterns break on the 5th touch. So we have 3. Will this be 4? Okay, so this could be just 1 here together. So this is what I was observing. Don't mind this one. Those like A, B, C, D, E, right? 1, 2, 3 touches to the top, 2 touches to the bottom. So what's not to say this continues and plays with us, and it comes down here and it continues up, right, and then down, right? That could be a possibility too. So how would I take my trades? I mean, as a trader, I am looking at everything, right? I'm a day trader. But if you're gonna swing a position, it is critical to look at the 4 hour, placing your highs, your lows, wait for it to break, confirm the break, and then jump into a trade. If you're trying to short, you could scale into your shorts, risk managing your liquidation in your portfolio bag. I'm personally adding to my shorts right now. It could come up a little bit further up, but I do think it's gonna reverse at some point soon. So that's something to consider. So just be patient. If you want to day trade, it's not for all, but you know, just within this contraction phase, right? Do some major 1 hour trend lines here. So this up, now we're in a downtrend. Turn on your 1226 EMAs. 1226 are bearish right now, so I would not consider a short, because price action is below the 12 and the 26 EMAs. So what I would be looking right now is for another lower high and then continuation to the downside. Of course, we could flip over to the upside, and that's fine for me to take or consider a long. I want this lower high to break, okay? This trend line to break, not even this one. I want this trend line to break because this is my 1 hour trend line. Okay, so if we go to the 30 minutes, we see this is a lower high. So my range right here off the bat, this would be my range. Okay. I like purple. This will be my range. And this is going to be the play. Like I said, I'm just looking for a next lower high and continuation to the upside, but it could definitely rotate. I want the trend line to break. I want my resistance to break. I want the 12 and the 26 EMAs to flip bullish and then enter and then consider a long. There's no need to consider longs at this point because everything is bearish. Like I said, right now, the only thing you should be looking is for the next lower high, especially on the hourly. The hourly are the most prominent lower highs that you could scale into. So just wait. It's the weekend. So just looking at it and based on Friday weekend, I believe it's just going to keep going sideways, right? You have your low. You have your high. Set your range when you come in. Set some trend lines really quick. Let me show you. This is my trend lines, right? So what's not to say for the weekend that it just keeps us doing that. So be careful if you're not in a short already. Just wait because it could give us all the way a retrace to this point here, to this trend line, and create that lower high. And this is where you want to set a zone, a box, and consider taking another short as the market continues to the downside. That's my play for the shorts. Like I said, if the market does start to rotate to the upside, that's wonderful too. I would not consider any shorts till my 12-26 EMAs are flips. And again, this lower high is broken. We cross this hourly trend line to the upside. Then I'll consider longing. So just like I have my checkoff list to take my shorts, I have my checkoff list to take my longs. And it's the same thing. It's all about the trend. It's all about 12-26 EMAs flipping, about support and resistance being broken. So that's your range. That's your setup for your next trade. May the force be with you, and remember to do everything with love.